Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video we have that's right, 5 new bosses with their full skill breakdowns to bring you for Grim Forest in Raid Shadow Legends. These are the final 5 bosses. In fact, this is Leshun, the actual final boss of the Grim Forest, doing all of his cool animations in the background. Oh man, it's been just a crazy onslaught of news. Oh my, I'm actually exhausted, but we're gonna dive in. We're gonna go anyway. So here we go. Let's go. First up, we're gonna be looking at this fellow, who I'm guessing is gonna have poisons. This is Maximoz, the Weeping Blade. So he's the Grim Forest boss. He is Spirit Affinity. I guess that means he's always going to be Spirit Affinity. Cool. Yeah, he definitely looks like poison. So let's go through his moves. Let's look at his passives first. I think makes the most sense to go kind of actually backwards through the kits. Weirdly makes more sense. So he's immune to decreased speed and turn meter reduction, right? Maximum HP is capped to 5% boss max HP. HP burns capped to 1% boss max HP. Poisons capped to some mystery number. I guess we'll never know. Awaken weakness, unfortunately, he's going to be on all of these bosses. That sucks, but it is what it is. And then he's immune to all the typical crowd control-y type debuffs and ignoring stuff. Right, so now we come to the more specific stuff for this boss himself. Forever Weeping, his first passive. Maximoz the Weeping Blade and his allies are immune to poison. Okay, so actually, this is important to note. You can fight these. We're going to look at the first four. Well, in fact, every boss we're looking at, you will find them throughout the Grim Forest. Leshun, when you fight this final boss, Leshun, all the other bosses we're about to cover in this video, the other 4 will show up with him. We saw that in the preview video. Let me actually bring it up so you guys know in case you missed it. Yeah, so here we go. This is from the video I recorded earlier. This is the 5th or 6th video I'm recording today, and like all of them are jam-packed with information. I don't even know what day is it? What's even going on anymore? I don't even know. But yeah, you can see fighting the last boss, Leshun, these other bosses. So here's our guy. He's kind of covered with continuous heals right now. There he is, though. There's Maximoz. They all show up for this final boss fight if you don't find them out in the Grim Forest. So you can fight the smaller bosses one by one, and when you beat them, like if I go and I fight this Maximoz, he will then not show up for the Leshun boss fight. So most likely that is what you're going to do. You're gonna hunt around the Grim Forest, finish off all these individual bosses, and then you come to the final boss. Now, so I don't believe that he has any allies in his regular boss fight. I guess we'll find out here, but he's probably on his own. This and his allies part is really specifically referencing if he comes into that final boss fight, he does make all of the bosses immune to poison. And as we saw, several of the bosses have these sorts of abilities where they're protecting each other and like healing each other up and stuff. I think it's going to be stupidly hard to fight multiple of them at the same time. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, he's immune and his allies are immune to poison. Enemies under poison debuffs will receive 100% more damage from poison debuffs. So they'll be, I guess, 10% poisons instead of 5%. Whenever he or his allies are attacked by an enemy under poison debuff, decreases the active skill cooldowns of any allies targeted by that attack by 1 turn. Occurs once per skill. Ooh, and also instantly activates all poison debuffs on the attacker whenever Maximoz the Weeping Blade or his allies are attacked once per skill. Yikes. So he's probably putting out poisons on everybody, right? So your team will be covered in poisons. Like if you come out and you do, especially if you bring him into that final boss fight, he's going to be reducing the boss cooldowns. If you attack with poison on you, number 1, you start reducing the boss's active skill cooldowns. That's insane. And then all of your poisons explode as well. And those poisons are twice as strong as normal poisons. It's kind of crazy, to be honest. Living Tragedy, other passive, because 1 isn't enough. Whenever Maximoz the Weeping Blade is attacked, decreases the duration of all buffs on the attacker by 1 turn. If the attack lands as a weak hit, decrease the duration of all buffs by 2 turns instead. I do see this guy has Poison Cloud, which will make you weak hit him. Fills his turn meter by 10% whenever he receives a weak hit. Okay, yeah. So this Poison Cloud is going to be very, very punishing. So he will be stripping off your buffs. I think the protection set can help you with that. But yeah, he'll definitely be removing your buffs. So probably if he's putting out poisons, you're going to want, like protected block debuffs to try stop it being reduced would be a good idea. Let's see then his active skills. Exude Death, 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies. Increase the cooldown of all enemy skills by 1 turn. Small amount, but it's there. Puts a 5% poison debuff on each enemy for 2 turns. Number of debuffs placed on each enemy is equal to the number of skills currently on cooldown. Ooh, that's pretty nasty. That's very nasty. Removes all debuffs from the boss and puts Poison Cloud on him for 2 turns. That's extremely nasty as well. Oh, yikes. We've got a very big problem here. We have a few big problems. Right, so he's going to increase all your skills. So block debuffs will counter this. You put up block debuffs, you won't get poisoned, you're fine. Your skills will be increased a bit, but it's fine. It's not the worst thing in the world to get these poisons, but bearing in mind, let's say you've got a champion with 2 active skills, even if they're just on 1 turn cooldown, right, from this. Yeah, you might want to bring in some magic affinity to get some weak hits on you as well. But, you know, if he puts 3 poisons on you, that's 30% max HP damage you're taking every turn. That adds up pretty quickly. So it is quite nasty, the poisons he's putting out. But this is rough. Poison Cloud. Poison Cloud. You know this from Hydra. The Hydra can do it. And in fact, I guess the easiest way... We've got one champion in Sensa can do it. Sorry, be over. Need someone with debuffs to see the thing. Over here... you will weak hit. Everything will weak hit. That's an attack that can hit, right? When they're under Poison Cloud. So you kind of want to bring in HP Burn. The problem is, with Hydra, you can stop this with block buffs. Sorry, I've gone past it. It's a buff. I haven't gone past it. I was looking at the debuffs. I'm an idiot. Yeah, for Hydra, you can use block buffs, and it's fine. You block buffs the Poison Cloud, you're all good. The problem here for this fight is he removes the debuffs, right? Blocks damage from poison. I forgot that it does that, but he's immune to poison anyway. It doesn't matter. Enemies can only land weak hits on champions under Poison Cloud, or the bosses. HP Burn does disable this. That's going to be the way you have to deal with it. You're going to have to land a burn on the boss, but you can weak hit. If you're a champion who places burns by hitting, it won't work. So you need someone like a Mordecai who places burns with a skill that's not an attack. You're going to need someone like that to burn the boss, and then the Poison Cloud is effectively disabled. But that's very, very tricky. That is very tricky right there, that Poison Cloud. Block buffs won't work. He's going to remove it. Putting HP Burn early won't work. He's going to remove it. Very nasty. If you're lucky enough to have Theodosia, you're very happy right now. Theodosia will make this super easy because she has protected block buffs. The debuffs will be protected. Very few champions in the game, very few have protected debuffs. She has it. She's going to be insanely strong. He won't be able to remove that block buffs. He won't be able to get Poison Cloud. She will hard carry this fight. All right, that's insane. Bringer of Desolation attacks all enemies 2 times. First hit places weaken and poison sensitivity. Second hit places 3 poisons for 3 turns. Oh my god. Then his A1 Soulmar Blades attacks all enemies, increase the duration of all debuffs on each target by 1 turn, and activates 1 poison on each target. Right, so for this boss is going to be actually really hard on normal difficulty. This boss is going to be like what do you do, right? You know, like if this boss has lower stats on normal difficulty, I mean, if you can't deal with Poison Cloud, you can't deal with Poison Cloud. All these poisons are doing just as much damage on normal difficulty as hard. This guy seems like he's going to be so nasty for new players, like super nasty. How do you deal with him? It seems like you really, really, really want protected block debuffs to counter the poisons. You really, really, really want debuff removal to remove the poisons. And then you want someone who can place burns after the Poison Cloud goes up. And that's probably about it. You just need a couple of things. He's not that hard to counter in a sense. But unless you have those very specific things, he's going to be pretty nasty. So yeah, you want that protected block debuffs to stop these poisons going on. You want to burn him straight away after the Poison Cloud with a champion who doesn't place burns on hits. Someone who can burn even... Yeah, that won't be weak hitting. You need that. And yeah, it's kind of rough, this. Kind of rough. Yeah, cool. He's a tough boss. Let's look at the next one. He's rough. All right, next up, it's the vampire chick. This is Isheth or Isheth, the something site. We'll see the name in a second. Visually, she looks freaking cool. Awesome demon spawn design. That's super cool. Like, the bosses look amazing. Isheth, the Crimson Siren. So she's Force Affinity always. She is a boss. Her rarity is boss. Cool. Lust Pulse. Wow. Ooh-wee. Right, well, let's go through the passive. So again, immune to speed, Terminator reduction, Burns are limited. I get there's nothing here about enemy max HP. Oh no, I see it up here. Giggles of Derision. She and her allies are immune to damage dealt based on enemy max HP. She is immune to enemy max HP. And yeah, if you bring her, and she and her allies deal pure damage, like, how are you going to bring her, like, how are you going to fight these 5 bosses at once? They're going to deal pure damage. So ignore all defense and I think all defensive buffs and stuff like that. And they're all going to be totally immune to enemy max HP. That's bonkers. What the crap? Okay. She's got the typical Awaken Weakness, immune to loads of stuff. Wow, right. Then her other passive, Unwavering Conceit. The damage inflicted by her increases by 5% for each buff she's currently under. Whenever a continuous heal buff activates on any ally, fills her turn meter by 5% and increases her max HP by 5% up to 100%. That's nasty. That's real nasty. I wonder, presumably poisons would work against her, but to what degree? Who knows? It's a mystery. Who knows? Who knows? Tooltips for days, but we're not going to explain that one. Why would we? Why would we? Yeah, okay, so don't let her have buffs, and really don't let her have continuous heals, which are bad enough as is. Doom Aroma. 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, removes all buffs, places Master Seal, and block passive skills debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. So Master Seal disables your gear sets, disables your masteries, disables your blessings. So it turns off lots of stuff. These aren't protected debuffs or anything. You can still use active skills. You're going to really want, again, either protected block debuffs is once again insane here, or debuff removal. Just remove these straight away because they're super nasty. Siren's Kiss, 3-turn cooldown, puts 15% continuous heal buffs on all allies for 3 turns and instantly activates them all on all allies. Holy shit. And then her A1, Lust Pulse, attacks all enemies, increase the duration of ally buffs by 1 turn, and activates 1 random continuous heal buff on all allies. I mean, if she takes a turn, she's healing 60%. If you're fighting the 5 bosses at once, like, you just cannot let that happen. Okay. Is she immune to... She's not immune to heal reduction, from what I can see. So 2 ways to counter this. Probably the easier way, because heal reduction is pretty uncommon. Block buffs. You really want block buffs. Just straight up stop her getting those continuous heals. It's definitely the way to go. Heal reduction would also work as well. So actually, in practice, I think on her own, she's actually pretty straightforward. Don't bring any enemy max HP champions. They literally will not work. Like, Marius will do his A2, and she's just like, come at me, bro. It did nothing. So you want to have protected block debuffs or debuff removal for the A3, block buffs or continuous heal for the A2 and A1. And that's kind of it, actually. So she's not so bad. She seems pretty easy, to be honest. Yeah, that. Let me know. Maybe I'm missing something here. She seems way easier than the other guy. Yeah, she doesn't seem too bad at all, actually. Yeah, you just definitely remove this stuff. Like, Master Seal mostly cripples your damage. It's most of it. Block passive skills, obviously annoying. She really doesn't seem that bad. I mean, visually she's cool, but she seems pretty easy to deal with. But yeah, big value surge for heal reduction champions at the moment. Right, next up we've got this dude. I think he does have a bunch of flaming effects in-game, but they're not displaying here, so he looks a little... I mean, it looks a little bland. He still looks freaking cool. Again, another very Demon Spawn-themed guy. This is Tauraze, the Bestial Flame. Lovely, he's a magic affinity. Okay, let's take a look at him. So, nothing about burns, so I guess... No, yeah, he and his allies are straight up immune to burns. Straight up there. We'll come back to that in a second. Damage, okay, enemy max HP capped to 5%, immune to decreased speed, turn meter reduction, awaken weakness, immune to all the typical stuff. So standard enough, right. Vital Spark. He and his allies immune to HP burn. Cool. Enemies under HP burn debuffs will receive 100% more damage from HP burn debuffs, so they'll do double. Heals all allies by 2% of their max HP whenever a burn debuff is activated. Interesting. That sounds small. That could add up very quickly. Like, if I have 5 champions, every time everyone on my team takes a turn and their burns are popping, like, we're pumping just 10% healing. And again, this would be AoE healing if you fight all these bosses at once. Pretty nasty. I mean, if you can prevent the burn, if you're not... He could be maybe not so bad. You could potentially fight him. We'll see what his moves do. But this doesn't seem game-ending. for the final boss. You could probably fight him with the final boss. Like if you're not using burn, no problem. But I mean, here's the problem. If you combine him with the poison guy, right? Poison cloud guy, what the heck do you do? What do you do against... You basically, you need to have Theodosia for protected block buffs or you're screwed, right? He's got to get poison cloud and you can do nothing. That's nuts. But otherwise, it's not a huge deal, that one. But oh yeah, the poison cloud combo is nasty. And yeah, if you prevent the burns, then this wouldn't be too bad. Let's see what else he does. Wildfire Soul. Whenever he is attacked by an enemy under burn, extends the duration of the burn by 1 turn per hit received. Fills his turn meter by 20% per hit received whenever he's attacked by an enemy without HP burn. Will not fill his turn meter if he's also under freeze. Oh, so he's not immune to freeze. This is the problem with this, right? Is like, this looks cool, but I'll be honest, it's just a massive block of text. I think this at least could be separated out. Could we do that? Separate it out to make it a bit more obvious. But so you really want to freeze him. Okay, so this guy, what's the bets? The 4th boss. I think the 4th boss does have frost stuff. The 4th boss probably makes them immune to freeze. What's the bets? Okay, so you really, 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 really want to freeze him so he doesn't gain turn meter. Yeah. He's going to be extending your burns, and if you're taking turns with burns, it's going to be healing the boss. The burns are going to actually do quite a bit of damage to you over time. But yeah, if you don't have burn, he's going to get loads of, like 20% turn meter per hit. Like if I do a Duchess A1, that's 2 hits. I just gave the boss 40% turn meter. That's really nasty. So you really want freeze. Okay, his active skills... This is actually a 4-turn cooldown. That's a little unusual. So he's got a 3-turn counterattack on him for 2 turns and a shield for 2 turns. The value of the shield is equal to 30% max HP. Cannot be removed. Okay. Block buffs counters both. The shield protected. Doesn't matter if he can't place it in the first place. Slash and burn. 4-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies. Puts burn for 3 turns and block active skills. Ooh, for 2 turns. And then Fume Cleaver, he'll be doing that a lot if he gets counterattack. Attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of instantly activating a burn. Ooh. If there's no enemies under burn, has a 50% chance of decreasing the cooldown of Slash and Burn by 1 turn instead. Yeah, like, so... We'll talk about it at the end, but I do think a consistent theme with these bosses is they've got a couple of pretty simple counters, but if you don't have those counters, you're going to get wrecked. And it's a bit tricky to get them in because remember, you can't pick from your entire champion collection. You have to pick decks and then it randomly picks champions. But if I look at this guy, what do we want to do? So number 1, we really want block buffs. So block buffs to stop this. We want block debuffs to stop him burning us. And or someone with high resistance and debuff removal. They're going to need high resistance because otherwise they're going to get block active skills. Potentially, we could also go in with increased resistance. If we go in with increased resist, we could smash him, right? If you got loads of resistance, decrease accuracy on the boss maybe as well, you could potentially just resist his burns and block active skills and you're pretty chill then. Like he'll get lots of turns, but he won't really do anything. So yeah, there's a few ways to counter. The easiest, block buffs to stop the counterattack and shield. Block debuffs to stop the burn block active skills. And then he's not really doing anything. But yeah, but you need those specific... Oh, you really want freeze as well to stop him gaining turn meter. So freeze, block debuffs, block buffs. Not so bad. So yeah, but you kind of want those very specific things. I'll probably do like a boss infographic summing when this stuff goes live, summing up the key things that you want. Because yeah, if you're missing them, you're gonna have a tough time, right? You're gonna have a real, like, my God, if you don't have block buffs, this guy starts going crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. Right, let's see the final of the 4 mini bosses, then let's see the actual final boss. Okay, this is Draugnell. Again, I think he's got some like cool, I don't know, blue, green, teal glows and stuff that aren't here, but big old skeleton knight. Ooh, Death Knight is jealous. He's void affinity. So guessing he might be the most difficult one. We'll see. But it does mean that you don't need to worry about your... I mean, that could be a thing as well. For the other bosses, like, what if you come to the Force Affinity boss and, like, you just draft a bunch of magic damage dealers? They're just not going to work. You know, it's rough. You're going to have to be redrawing. Yeah. Let's take a look at this fella. What's he got? So, flameproof, immune to speed and turn meter, enemy max HP capped to 5%. Immune to a bunch of stuff. Okay, again, yeah. Awaken weakness, yep. Right, I see 2 passives. Again, Living Reliquary, first one. He and his allies are immune to ignore defense effects. Ooh, that makes fighting him with the final boss so much harder, that encounter. Ignore defense is such a huge boost. It basically makes decreased defense absolutely mandatory, which you probably want to be running anyway, but it really makes it mandatory. You just won't do any damage with no ignore defense otherwise. But yeah. Reflects 50% of the damage he receives back to the attacker. If he's under burn, will not reflect any damage. Okay. Again, bear in mind, if you fight him with all the final bosses, he'll be immune to burn, right? Isn't that what the other guy did? So, yeah. Reflecting 50% damage back is going to be brutal for your damage dealers. You're going to either need a reviver or preferably just bring a burn and fight this guy on his own. I wonder if they'll put in some crazy rewards for fighting all the bosses together. It seems insanely hard to fight them all together. I don't know. Death's Cold Hand is other passive. Whenever he's attacked, has a 40% chance of placing freeze on the attacker for 1 turn. Decreases the speed of enemies under freeze by 50%. Ooh, that's nasty. So yeah, you really want block debuffs again. Surprise, surprise. Okay, cool. Because if you get frozen, it's going to take a long old time to take a turn. Spine Frost Howl, 3-turn cooldown, AoE attack, places freeze, steals all turn meter from each target under freeze. Yep. Osteomancy, 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, places 50% decreased attack and 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. And then Soul Scream Axe is A1, attacks all enemy, places provoke. Yeah, I mean, I think for this boss, it's actually really easy boss, again, if you have the right thing. Number 1, bring in burn, so your damage dealers don't die. Number 2, bring block debuffs and maybe buff extension. Just keep it up all the time. I do think debuff removal would be okay, but you're going to need very high resistance debuff removal. And he's placing some really nasty debuffs on every single turn. I think you actually really do want block debuffs. I mean, block debuffs is one of the best. It's one of the best buffs in the entire game, right? You've probably prioritized building champions with it. You're really, really going to need them here. But yeah, if you've got to block debuffs up, extend it, keep it up the whole time. He doesn't do anything. Like, he literally doesn't do anything, right? He can't freeze you. He can't freeze you. He can't steal turn meter. He can't debuff. He's just going to be smacking. Every attack is AoE, so he will be hitting you every single turn. So there will be damage coming in. But yeah, I think you bring in block debuffs. You bring in HP burn. You bring in some healing. Many champions who place block debuffs actually heal as well. It's one of the most common ability combos. He's actually pretty simple to counter, to be honest. So yeah, there we go. Okay, interesting. Let's bring up the final boss. All right, here he is, Leshun, the Entangled One. Again, you guys can see, like, in-game, he looks so much cooler, right? This doesn't have the VFX or SFX or whatever it is, so he doesn't look half as cool as he does, like, in-game, where, like, his chest is glowing and evil. Same with several of these bosses. They do look cooler in-game. Ooh, he's got a lot of abilities, huh? He's a lot. Now, he's always Void Affinity. That's actually good. I like that. He's always Void Affinity. Cool. Great. Let's take a look at what he's doing. So, HP burns can exceed 1%. Max HP capped to 5%. Awaken weakness is back. Oh, he's not immune to decreased speed. So you can put decreased speed. And turn meter reduction only decreased by 50%. So they will actually be a little bit helpful. That's a bit different. Again, big wall of text for stuff he's immune to. For passives, he has 2 passives. Elder Tree decreases all incoming damage by 60% if Leshun the Entangled One is not under HP burn. Wow, okay. Also has a 30% chance to change an incoming critical hit into a weak hit if he's not under HP burn. Turn meter fill effects are 30% more effective on enemies under an entangled debuff if he's under HP burn. Okay. So basically, bring in HP burn. You really want it. If you don't have burn, he takes 60% less damage and a 30% chance to turn crits into weak hits. Like, your damage is going to go way down. And I'm not sure why turn meter fill is important for Entangle. Maybe you break free or something, but that's going to be important. Okay. Sorry, we're back. Another phone call. Wait, I think I've recorded 2 videos back to back. I think the phone call was in the previous video. I don't even know what's going on anymore in life. What is life? Parasitic growth. Whenever a True Fear debuff placed by Leshun the Entangled One is activated, fills the turn meter of Leshun and its allies by 10%, and also decreases the duration of all debuffs on Leshun and its allies by 1 turn. At the start of his turn, deals damage to all enemies under Entangle. The damage dealt is equal to 20% of the target's max HP and destroys. Ooh. There's been very few bosses that destroy max HP. There's very few champions that can fix it either. That's kind of nasty. Destroys each target's max HP by 20% of the damage dealt. So I guess... So, alright, he'll do 20% and then he'll destroy your HP by 20% of 20%, which is, what, 4%? It's not too bad, but could add up. If an enemy under an Entangle debuff is killed by damage from this skill, places another protected Entangle debuff on the enemy with the next highest speed, and puts True Fear on all other enemies without an Entangle debuff for 1 turn. All right, that's pretty bad news then. Okay, so True Fear is kind of bad. It's not the worst, but it's pretty bad. He's going to gain some turn meter. Very bad if you're fighting the 5 boss or multiple bosses at once. Otherwise, it's only a small bit of turn meter for him, but decreasing his debuffs is pretty rough. If you don't have debuff extension, he could easily start outrunning stuff, and that could get kind of brutal. Yeah, we'll see what Entangle does. Here we go. Okay, so his active skills. Oh god, he's got so many. 4. Right. Sublimate life for... I'm presuming he goes through them. It's usually why I do these backwards as well, is typically the bosses go through their skills backwards, right? Like, they don't start with an A1. Usually start with this one. We'll see. Sublimate life places a protected Entangle debuff. Are they going to explain what that is? Yeah, up here. Okay. Protected Entangle debuff on the enemy with the highest speed. Also places a Siphon debuff on the enemy with the highest speed for 3 turns. These debuffs cannot be evaded, redirected to another target, resisted, or blocked. They also ignore Stone Skin and Taunt. Okay, so he's basically going to Entangle and Siphon you, and there's pretty much nothing you can do to stop it from the looks of it. Yeah, I think it just happened. So, first up, Entangle. A champion under an Entangle debuff won't receive any positive effects from their allies, including buffs, will not have their turn meter passively increased. When placed, a champion receiving the Entangle debuff has all their buffs removed, but can still receive more debuffs. The Entangle debuff has no duration, therefore cannot have its duration increased or decreased, and it cannot be spread to other champions. You can only remove an Entangle debuff by actively filling the champion's turn meter to 100%. That's pretty nasty. Right, so he will... That's really nasty. I wonder if instant turn or extra turn effects would help. Probably not. Like a Shuzen gives you an instant turn. Probably doesn't work. But Lamassu, probably very helpful here. Give someone 50% turn meter, but you'd have to do it twice. He maybe could just keep, like, I'm guessing he can entangle multiple people. So it's pretty nasty, right? You entangle someone. If you don't break them free in like 3 turns, he might just come back and entangle you again. Seems really, really nasty, that. Yeah, okay. Entangle's rough. Whew, okay. You're going to need to bring some serious turn meter boosting to this fight then to get past that. He also puts Siphon. Right, so Siphon. A champion under a Siphon debuff has 5% of their stat values siphoned by the debuff producer, except ignore defense. Each time the debuff producer takes a turn, an additional 5% stat values will be stolen, stacking up to 50%. For example, a champion with 1,000 attack under Siphon will initially have their attack decreased to 950. The debuff producer's attack will be increased by 5%. This example doesn't make any sense to me. If my champion has 1,000 attack, if he siphons off 5% and he steals 50, surely the debuff producer, surely his attack will be increased by 50. It seems to be saying it'd be increased by 5%. Now, if it increases the boss, like if he siphons off 50 attack is probably far less than 5% of his attack. So, like 50 would be far less than 5%. So, yeah, I'm not sure. That seems very unclear. Like, you would think that, you know, if it takes off 50 attack, he would gain 50 attack. It seems to be saying he's going to gain percentages, which seems insane. We'll see. Each time the debuff producer takes a turn, an additional 5% of your stats will be siphoned to them. Yeah, again, that's pretty rough because he's going to target your highest speed person. Like, he's going to steal a lot of speed. Siphon debuff cannot be transferred, spread, or have its duration increased or decreased. It can be removed. Okay. So you want to remove that ASAP. You want to stop that immediately. And every time the boss takes a turn. So I'm guessing he places the entangle and siphon. You want to immediately remove that siphon. So otherwise, it sounds like he's going to permanently steal stuff as well. I'm not entirely clear. So like he's siphoning me for 3 turns, right? Every time he takes a turn, he's stealing some of my stats. If I remove the siphon buff, or it runs out, do I get the stats back, or has he permanently stolen them? Is my champion permanently weaker? He's permanently stronger? I'm not sure. Is he stealing my stats, or is he reducing my stats and boosting his stats by percentages? Again, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. Their example seems funny enough. They've given a very specific example, which to me doesn't make sense, but we'll see. Thorn Prison then, 4-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies under an entangle debuff, decreases their turn meter by 30%. That's really bad because to remove the entangle, he obviously wants to fully fill their turn meter, so that's rough. If there's no enemies under entangle, attacks the enemy with the highest speed. Places a protected entangle. Debuff cannot be evaded, redirected, or resisted. Debuff also ignores Stone Skin. Super nasty. Jeez. So this one, interesting. Sublimate Life. This one can't be evaded, redirected, resisted, or blocked. This one can't be evaded, redirected, resisted, but it can be blocked. So you really want block debuffs. If he starts entangling multiple people, like no one in your team's going to take a turn. And he can, as he cycles through his moves, he's going to be entangling multiple people. He's got weird cooldowns. I don't know what order he's going to do skills in. Seems odd, but yeah, you really frickin' don't want to get multiple people entangled. Like, how are you going to turn meter boost them out of it? So yeah, you really want to remove the siphon ASAP, and you really want to block this entangle. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay. I suppose if the first entangle's still out there, you don't need to block this. He's just going to attack your entangled person, but... Gloom Wrecker, 4-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies. Before attacking, removes all debuffs from Leshun, and removes all buffs from all enemies. Ooh. The damage inflicted and the amount of defense ignored against each target increases by 5% for each buff and debuff removed. Pretty darn nasty. Very few protected debuffs in the game, but they would be very strong here. Protection sets on your buff champions. Likely essential. Yeah, you really, really want to protect your buffs, because otherwise he's going to hit you pretty hard. It's not the end of the world, but it's kind of rough. And then Blood Branch Bash, his A1, attacks all enemies. Damage received by targets under entangle is reduced by 50%. Has a 50% chance of placing True Fear on targets without entangle for 1 turn. Again, if you get True Feared, pretty bad. The True Fear is going to be filling his turn meter and decreasing debuffs on him, which is kind of rough. So, yeah, okay. How do we fight this boss? Presumably you're fighting... So decreased speed, I think, is essential. You want to decrease speed, a bit of turn meter reduction, no harm. So definitely bring decreased speed. You definitely want HP burn. Oh, and look at this. Yeah, if you put him under HP burn, the turn meter fills are more effective. So that helps a ton as well. So you really want decreased speed to stop him taking loads of turns and entangling everyone. You really want HP burn. You're going to really want debuff removal to stop him. To stop this siphon. Debuff removal. Turn meter boosts to get rid of the entangle, block debuffs to stop the entangle from this move, and to stop the True Fear here. And that's it though, actually. It's not too bad apart from that. You're going to want, again, any protected debuffs, or more importantly, probably protected buffs that you can, is really good. Again, protected block debuffs is absolutely huge. If you can protect block debuffs and keep that up, you don't have to worry about the True Fear. You don't have to worry about entangle from this move, only from this Sublimate Life. Okay. He sounds nasty. His cooldowns will clash, right? Like the other bosses have 2 3-turn cooldowns, so they just go like A3, A2, A1, A3, A2, A1 over and over, probably, right? This guy, he's got so many moves, he can't use them all. So he'll probably prioritize Sublimate Life, which is kind of nasty, but it does mean he'll delay these a little bit. And it also means that his A1, he probably won't do his A1 very often. He has so many cooldowns to cycle through. So, yeah, we'll see exactly how it goes. But I feel like he's maybe worse on paper. I don't know. He might not be too bad. Maybe. Yeah, it's interesting. So let's get a quick review of all these bosses for the end. My God, so many bosses. Quick review. Okay, so just quickly going back up, for presuming you do fight them one by one, who do I want to look at first? So we looked at Maximoz first. He actually seems like probably the hardest one. You really need like burns that you can place after this, after the poison cloud, and you really want to prevent all these poisons. Yeah, you really want to prevent the poisons. He's kind of nasty though. He seems kind of rough, but yeah, you want like burns, you want block debuffs, debuff removal, some healing. Okay, yep, lots of AoE attacks. So yeah, there's him. He's pretty rough to be fair. We have Isheth. She seems pretty easy, but you really need block buffs or heal reduction. If she starts max healing, it's just gonna you just won't be able to kill her. She doesn't seem too bad though. She seems quite easy to be honest, but you're gonna want heal reduction or block buffs, but that's about it. She seems very easy. So we didn't look at this guy next. We look at the burn, the fire guy next. Yeah, again, block buffs really important. Block debuffs, debuff removal, freeze. He's a bit more niche. He's a little tricky. Gonna need a few bits for him, but not the worst. Draugnell seems pretty easy, funny enough. Block debuffs, again, is crucial. And burn is really nice as well. And some healing. Actually seems quite not so bad. And then finally, Leshun, there's a lot going on. So yeah, I think block buff champions, super high value. Burn champions, super high value. Couple of bosses for that. Block debuffs champions, incredibly high value. Especially 9-piece protection set for your block debuff champion, extremely high value. Gonna need turn meter boosting for this guy as well. And then you're gonna want, debuff removal is good too. You're gonna want again like decreased defense, weaken, any nice stuff like that, any generally good stuff for bosses. But yeah, few bosses want burn, few bosses want block debuffs. Heal reduction is very important as well for the mimic, by the way. So mimic plus the vampire chick want heal reduction. So that's a couple of bosses where heal reduction seems very good, which is pretty niche debuff. But yeah, there's a hell of a lot, so much going on with these. It's kind of crazy. I think any champions like this in the future that have protected debuffs as well are going to be really useful. Like we also have Amok, decrease resist, pain link, decrease speed, protect against bosses, pretty nifty. Yeah, so any champs like that, watch out for protected debuffs, and obviously protected debuffs are insane, but they're going to be really nice for this content as well. So many bosses. Let me know, who's your favorite? Which ones look scary? Which ones don't look scary? They look okay, actually, to me. They don't look too bad. This one seems, on paper, seems surprisingly easy. Maybe he hits really hard or something. Yeah, this guy seems pretty, like the poison and the fire guy seem quite nasty. And the final boss potentially is quite nasty as well. But yeah, there we are. There are all the bosses. Give me your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Oh, it's been an absolute massive info dump. This whole week has been a crazy info dump. It's been insane. And this content, I think, is probably coming next week or so. I don't know. Like, it's got to be coming soon. They're revealing, like, everything. So, my God. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. And I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your weekend. Goodbye.